A stunning retreat by Russia overnight as Ukrainian forces claw back parts of the south and east of their country.
We have not seen this type of advancement from Ukrainian troops since the beginning of the war.
The Ukrainian military has just made its greatest breakthrough since successfully defending Kyiv at the start of the war. In August, Ukraine loudly proclaimed a counteroffensive in the south, and then proceeded to catch Russian forces off guard in early September in the north. Russian troops were forced to abandon their equipment and flee their positions. General Ben Hodges, former commanding general of U.S. Army Europe, tells the Renew Democracy Initiative that he's optimistic.
They have been pounding the Russian logistics systems, destroying ammunition storage sites, command posts, hitting airfields. And every time one of these ammunition storage points goes up, the Russians have to move further back to stay close to the rail, which puts more of a burden then on the trucks that have to be used that are having to travel further.
Ukrainian forces pushed the front line back towards Russia at lightning pace, regaining 3,000 square kilometers of territory and liberating the strategically important cities Balakliya, Kupyansk, and Izyum.
It exhibited two or three things that every professional military would want to be able to do. Number one, the operational security, the OPSEC, practiced by the Ukrainians has been masterful. We knew more about what the Russians are doing than we did the Ukrainians. So the Ukrainians were able to move to mass capabilities up in the north near Kharkiv that would be used for this attack without the Russians detecting it. And this is really something. If you think about it, you got thousands of soldiers, many of them will have their cell phones. So the discipline not to be talking, giving up location, or for even well-intentioned journalists or people to talk about it, that they managed to keep that under wraps. That was impressive. And the reason they had to do that, of course, was because of the large-scale deception that they have pulled off.
Hodges says American and other foreign military aid must continue in order for Ukraine to liberate the East.
My assessment of the likelihood of Ukrainian success, not only in this counteroffensive, but for the conflict itself, to push Russian troops back to the 23 February line by the end of this year and to liberate Crimea early in the first half of next year, if not sooner, is contingent on continued support from the United States, Canada, the UK, and all of the other almost 50 countries now that are providing some sort of support to Ukraine. Nothing can replace the courage and the skill of Ukrainian soldiers or the resilience of Ukrainian population, but weapons that have been provided, particularly long-range precision fires, what's called HARM, the anti-radiation missiles that are used to knock out Russian air defense systems, some anti-ship missile capabilities, and then endless amounts of artillery ammunition. These are essential. These are essential for Ukrainian success. This is what has enabled Ukraine to not only neutralize, but to destroy or disrupt Russian artillery.
On Sunday, Russian missile strikes targeted power plants, causing widespread blackouts, especially in the Kharkiv and Donetsk regions, almost certainly in retaliation for Ukraine's successful counteroffensive. General Hodges is skeptical of the effectiveness of such attacks carried out by the Russians.
The idea of trying to turn out the lights in and of itself is not a terrible idea, but if that's all you can do, that's not going to do anything to disrupt a counteroffensive. If anything, it's going to motivate Ukrainians to move faster to eliminate the ability of Russia to keep murdering innocent Ukrainian civilians. And it also is a reminder of who we're dealing with, that their only response is to fire big, expensive missiles into populated civilian areas. So the idea that somehow that Ukraine should negotiate with them and that they should agree to stop fighting is clearly wrong-headed, because we see what happens to civilians in occupied territory.
Ukraine has the momentum now, but General Hodges says it's not time to celebrate just yet.
So it's too early to go ahead and assume that this is won and we can plan a victory celebration. However, as President Zelensky said, you can see the path to victory. I mean, you can see the road now, what's going to happen, and it feels like it's really in reach. The key will be for Ukrainian armed forces to keep their foot on the gas, to not back off, to not give the Russians the chance to stand back up and figure out how to stop this counteroffensive. This is very important, and this will be hard because, I mean, this is very tiring. Logistics has to keep up with the frontline units, and the Russians will eventually start to figure out some ways to slow this down. And of course, the West has got to make it very clear that we are all in with Ukraine, that the sanctions are going to remain in place, as well as us delivering everything that we said we would do.